You are now tuned in to the Storm Tracker podcast.
Welcome back to the Storm Tracker podcast. My name's Marcus Benjamin, publisher of CanesCounty.com. And I'm here today joined by Steve O, representing 365 Canes football. He contributes to the site, of course, with his film reviews. He's a guy who also is a coach for one of the best 7-on-7 teams in the country at Raw Miami. Thanks for joining me today, Steve O.
No, pleasure for having me. It's a pleasure on mine, and I can't wait to get it started. It's exciting times to be a Canes fan. It's exciting time, for football. Even though spring just ended, so it's not really more football going on, but everybody knows how this transfer portal is taking over things.
Absolutely, man. Well, we'll dive right into that in a minute, but I do also kind of want to just say just to subscribe to CanesCounty.com for free. You see it scrolling down at the bottom. Use the promo code Miami30. Also subscribe to this YouTube channel live from Canes County. Yeah, it's been transfer portal palooza going on here down in Miami, man. And Cristobal and the staff has been at it again. They went 4 for 4 like the Wendy's value meal last weekend. And they're trying to add some more pieces as well. But let's talk about the guys that they did add, man. They added an explosive running back in Damian Martinez. They added a Deani Hill, a corner from Marshall, who obviously Chevis Jackson and Lance Guidry were familiar with in his recruiting process. And they also added Jalen Alderman at linebacker and Sam Brown at receiver. So an unbelievable haul a couple of weekends ago. But who are you most excited about these 4 guys coming to Miami?
I'm biased because I do coach one position, and so I'm gonna go with the receiver and Sam Brown. And it's a trend with all the guys that we mentioned that we brought in this weekend. There's a familiarity with the staff. In 2022, Samuel Brown played under Coach Dawson at Houston. So verbiage coming in, he should hit the ground running. He should be able to grasp the playbook quickly and come in and compete and, make a stamp for your starting job, versus Horton. So I'm very excited to see that battle. We were just talking about that off air. So I would have to go with Sam Brown. And I love the trend of familiarity. You touched on it with Hill and, Chevis Jackson, our new cornerbacks coach, and our safety / defensive coordinator, Lance Guidry. So they love the familiarity there. And then you touched on, our new linebacker addition, Coach D. Nick. Of course, he was just at Louisville. He recruited all them in there. So now he recruited him here to Miami. So again, familiarity, verbiage, things are going great. It's not just names you hear and, we got this guy from this guy. We got, start reading into it, look a little deeper into it, and see that some of these guys are going to be instant plug-in players that, at least language-wise, there should be no hurdles.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to love the fact that they kind of went back to the well, as far as guys that they knew and were familiar with. So these are plug and play guys that can just make an impact immediately, I think, for this team. I mean, for me, I'm kind of a running back guy, man. So just to add Damian Martinez to this running back room is really, I think, just tremendous. To couple him with a Mark Fletcher and a AJ Allen, and the young guys as well, Chris and Chris. I think it's really going to be an exciting running back room, especially with Cam Ward, who we know also has dual threat ability. So to have a quarterback and a running back in the backfield that is explosive is something that we haven't seen at Miami for a little while. Probably since Malik Rozier, really, where you had kind of a nice combination like that. You had other quarterbacks here and there. But to this level, what this level could be, I'm really excited for Damian Martinez as well as Sam Brown as well. So, but the thing about the transfer portal, Steve O, is that you win some and you lose some, but you live. You live to fight another day. So you do lose some players here. Out of the transfer portal, I would say a ton of players, kind of left the program. Savion Riley, Jared Harrison Hunt, and Nigel Lee Kelly, Henry Parrish. I mean,
Jaden Wayne.
Jaden Wayne. I mean, Jonathan Dennis, Sagapolu. Um, who else am I missing here? Is Marcellus Pulliam jumped in the portal as well. I mean, just a ton of guys, man. So, and not to mention probably one of the one that kind of created probably the most headlines down here, which was Jakari Brown.
Yeah.
Out of all these players that did leave, though, Steve-O, which player do you think, or which player is most disappointing to you to see leave the University of Miami?
Uh, to me, as a fan, we get emotionally connected because we're all new to this transfer portal era. College football is all new, so we're used to having guys for 3 years before they could leave or something like that. So we were, 2019 heads on, Jaden Wayne coming from Washington, and everybody was arguing back and forth. Oh, is he actually even interested? And they'd be like, oh, he came here on his own dime one time. Then now it's 2 times. Now it's 3 times. He's definitely interested. Then it came into like, yo, actually, we could probably really sign him. Then Mario came in. And it's like, oh my God, he's like actually going to come. So to see him leave, especially when he played in games like Virginia last year, where he actually had really good reps, I thought he should have got more. But it just hurts to see him leave without seeing him reach his potential here. Him going back home to Washington, that was probably the most disappointing thing for me. I get it. Miami's still shopping for more defensive ends, and we already have a pretty good defensive line already. So I get it. But man, that sucks not to see a guy like that who was a 5-star talented guy, not develop here.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, there's a couple of guys disappointing to leave as far as um, departures are concerned. Savion Riley for me, it's like, man, this guy had a chance to to really get on the field and get some playing time. So unfortunate to see that that player from that position group, I guess more so, leave the program because it's not like they're really deep at safety. So if one of the top guys goes down, then I'm a little worried about that position group. So if he was there, then I think he would be a good depth piece and a good guy to develop over the years. And the other one for me is Jared Harrison Hunt, man. Harrison Hunt was just a guy that I think was going to play a lot. Lance Guidry praised him last year about being lucky to have a guy like him on the team, and didn't get to see him really play with an Akeem Mesidor. So if you had an Akeem Mesidor and Bain and the couple of transfers that brought in Cook and Clark, as well as Elijah Alston, that's a pretty formidable defensive line that could have been. So yeah, just kind of disappointed to see Jared Harrison Hunt probably the most. There's actually a bunch that I would say though. It's kind of hard to, like you said, it's hard to really kind of say which hurts the most, but um, that definitely was probably I guess maybe the more confusing thing. But that's what the transfer portal is all about. And I did want to kind of talk about the transfer portal just as a whole, man. A lot of people say it's good for football, college football. Some people say it's bad for college football or whatnot. I think it's a great opportunity for kids to find a place that works for them. But you know as well as I do, Steve-O, that a lot of the times these kids don't find a home. They're just kind of they get lost in the matrix that's called the transfer portal. You know, and that part of it is disappointing because a lot of these kids would benefit from staying with the program that they're at to continue to develop. You never know what can happen as far as attrition is concerned, but what's your opinion about the transfer portal in itself, and do you feel like it's good for college football?
I love the ability for kids to up and leave for a better situation or a more fair situation, maybe a fresh start, whatever the case is. I'm all for it. And I think it's needed because coaches can up and leave. It's kind of like one of the main things, which is true. You could be in somebody's living room in December, and then come January, after you're freaking run into the playoffs, I'm out of here. Sorry, you know.
Yeah.
So that's just the reality of the situation. So definitely in favor of it, but it's just the rules. There is no rules. So at least before there was a one-time transfer thing. Now guys are hitting 3, 4, 5 schools. Like most universities don't give out a degree unless you took like 50 or 60% of the courses there. Like you're not getting a degree, and these so like it's definitely full pay for play. None of these guys are completing these things. So, and also it trickles down to the high school effect because a lot of these G5 teams like a USF or JMU or just a lot of these teams used to get 3 stars down here and used to come down here and and offer a lot of 3 stars and get up a lot of that talent that was the major Power 5 conferences weren't taking. Now, instead of going there into those getting those kids, they're waiting on that 4 star, 5 star from 2 years ago to drop down from the SEC, and that it's affecting high school kid recruiting. It's like right now, my little brother's 3 star at St. Thomas, and I see so much kids just going through the waiting game, because these guys are waiting on the portal. Like, thank God it's a dead period during like December. You would never see a coach or talk to a coach if you're like, like they're so busy with the portal. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And another player that Miami is looking into from the portal, who kind of has gone through this type of like roller coaster kind of portal journey, you could say, is Tyler Barron. And this guy, he decided to enter the portal from Tennessee and then committed to Ole Miss and then jumped into the portal again, committed to Louisville, spent the spring there, and now is back in the portal again. So it's an interesting journey for him, but Miami's still doing its best to try to bring him to South Florida. This is a guy who took an official visit to Miami that same weekend that the four aforementioned players decided to commit to Miami. He was there during that weekend. He was the one who literally got away without a commitment. But what can he do for the depth of the defensive line if he indeed chooses the Hurricanes in the end?
I mean, you're talking about a multi-year starter in the SEC. He has production over 6 sacks last year, 10.5 tackles for a loss. Brings physicality and stability to the room. Means we can move Mesidor inside. We can move Ruben Bain inside, on third down, even more if we want to get into the passer, because you just have that option. They have that availability. You can move them all around now because, you have a Baron on the outside who's been dependable and he's already showed you on tape, hey, I'm going to be an impact player. That's just is what it is. I'm going to be physical against the run. I'm going to be in the backfield every play. I'm going to get some sacks, high effort, and I'm going to chase down. Good technique. He has a couple spikes. So he's fighting for a high motor player. So a guy who could play a ton of snaps, even though we have depth, but you can make things work by mixing people around. Like you have the defensive line is going to be nice. You have Barrow, who has a great pass rushing rate that just came in from Michigan State. Ruben Bain can move inside. Mesidor can move inside. Austin is a beast on the outside. We'll see how it translates to the Power 5 level. But if he's what he is, he's going to be at least, above average starter.
Yeah, just wanted to play some highlights of Barron because you kind of see the ability that he has. I mean, he really um he's one of those relentless type of workers, and he to me he really um is very similar to like kind of how Jason Taylor played, where he was just relentless. He kept you know after it as far as the plays are concerned. So I think he can be a really nice addition, especially when you lose a Jaden Wayne and a Nigel Kelly. It's I think it's really kind of paramount at this point that they add another player for the edge because injuries happen. Defensive line is you could say probably the most rotated position group, like as far as players that rotate in and out of a game. It can be 8 to 9 different players in one game. So you kind of want that heavy rotation of guys and being fresh, especially on third down to rush the passer. And Tyler Barron can definitely be that guy. My guess is that Miami will make this happen, and add Barron to the roster. We'll say you think Miami has a good chance to land Barron this week?
Yeah, I would say I think Miami's in the driver's seat at this point, and we'll just see if they close because that's the thing with the portal. You're in the driver's seat until it actually happens, and even then you can get a commitment from a portal and they'll flip. So you never really know. But classes are coming up, so if he wants to be a hurricane, he's gonna have to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see what happens in the next upcoming days. More updates on canescounty.com on that in the next upcoming days. Make sure, again, to subscribe to the website. Use the promo code Miami30. A couple more questions for you, Steve-O. I actually wanted to know your opinion on second year players, man. We want to see some players really kind of step up, take it to the next level here in year. It's already year three, or already year three of Cristobal. It feels like, man, the time is just kind of going by fast here. But we're going into year three here of the Cristobal era. So as far as second year players, though, um, because I would say that is really Cristobal's real first class. What guys do you want to see step up here in the 2024 season?
I have two in mind. They're both at the same position, but I'm gonna go with Damari Brown. First out, 4-star out of here, Broward County, out of via American Heritage. He's a baller. And he has the size. He played over his older brother last year. It just tells you what type of dog he is. He's just super athletic, great size for the pound. He's gonna live on the outside, long arms, big, physical, fast corner. He can run with people. He has to just step up and be that guy on the outside. It's simple as that. We need you to start 14, 15 games if we go on a run and beat Demar Brown for 15 games, and we'll be fine. I think that's a huge one. If Canes want to run this tape, it's going to be more than just Cam Ward. You're going to have to play defense. So you can't always be on Cam Ward, can't always be on Cam Ward, can't always be on Cam Ward. So you got to play defense. You got big games on the schedule. We already know who's coming down this year. So got to make plays in those games. And to tell that, I'll probably add Robert Stafford again, cornerback room, another room that's questionable. People question the depth there. We just brought in Hill, that we talked about earlier from Marshall. But I think Robert Stafford, you lost to Corey Couch. Fans would always love talking about to Corey Couch. He gave a solid nickel play for like 3 or 4 years, bro. Like you
Yeah.
understand? Like when the PFF grades come out, they're always like, "Oh my god, this!" And like, he has 2 run reads and then coverage. So like, yeah, he's a step behind. Like, but he's, oh man, it's really good nickel play for the last couple of years. We've been spoiled. So to be real, Jadias Richard, Tamari Brown, bigger guys, they can play the nickel, but they don't have that quicker twitch, of like the nickels of more modern days. So yeah, you can have them have success in the slot with versus tight ends, but only outside of Daryl Porter Jr., who's our top corner. Robert Stafford is the guy with the juice in the room. So if anybody could step up at nickel and then let me step back at safety more, so that can help alleviate some problems in another room, I think Damari Brown and Robert Stafford stepping up. If that were to happen, that would make the defense, that would turn a page over for the defense if they could let me be back at safety, because those two guys stepped up as second year players. I think we'll be very happy.
Let's talk a little bit more about that. I know we talked a little bit off air about this DB room, man. I was thinking that Jadias Richard likely would be the nickel corner. Michelle Powell has been playing at that nickel. And then you got Jaden Harris at safety. I already talked about Savion Riley leaving the program. And then you got Markeith Williams as well at safety, and Damari. Who do you think really makes this final five as far as DBs is concerned? I mean, we all know Daryl Porter's in there. We could just pencil him in. So who makes the other four for you? Well, Michelle Powell too. We
Yeah.
could already pencil him in as well. So who makes the other three, Steve-O?
Yeah, so in this mock, I'll leave Mish back deep at safety. So Powell at safety. So I'll go, Daryl Porter obviously, then Powell. I do think Jaden Harris starts. As of right now, nobody else is coming in. No one's gonna start over Jaden Harris. I think he's been the heir apparent. This is Mario's third year. We talked about that now. Like, Harris is not a Manny guy. He came in Mario's class. He's been in the program for 3 years. He looks good. You see him physically, he looks good. This looks like, you're very happy with some of these third year players that have stuck, like Horton. You see the bodies changed over the last 2 years. And, they look like dudes now. So hopefully, Jaden Harris will step up in that role. He was Cam's understudy. Cam coaches with Raw as well. Jaden Harris has been to a few of our tournaments. So always rooting for him. Great kid, great young man. So I'm going to go with him to start at safety. And then I'm gonna go Damari outside. I just have to see it. Just need to see that 6 on the outside, playing man all day, bump and run. Let Gidry drop whatever blitz packages he wants to do. Let him do anything he wants to do. He wants, but we're playing man on that side, and that's what we need. Then at nickel, it is because Jedias does have versatility. Can play nickel. He can play safety. But I don't know, man. It's wishful thinking, but I just really want Robert Stafford to take that job. He was hurt and banged up a
Over
little bit.
Richard.
I mean, I don't know, man. I really want Stafford to take that job, bro. I really do. I think as you go into fall camp, Richard will probably be starting there, or it'll be vice versa with Damari in the nickel getting the reps there and Jedias outside. However, they handle that competition because those two are definitely going to compete in the outside opposite of Daryl, and the loser of that's going to nickel. I just don't think Damari's gonna lose it. But I don't know, man. It would behoove the team if if Stafford could win that nickel job, and then you could have more versatility with Jedi's at safety.
Got you. So Hill, the transfer that we talked about, he's more. You think maybe like just a depth piece? Do you think this guy could crack the starting lineup at any point in the season?
Yeah, I think the thing with Hill is he's great in man coverage, and that's what a lot of people are talking about. But bro, he's like a top 5 tackler in the country. Like when it comes to missed tackles, his tackling grade is stupendous. So he's a guy who you can count on the outside on the boundary to tackle, and that is huge. A lot of these big runs that you see in college football, most of them start with the cornerback missing a tackle, and then that's how they get off to the races. So if you don't want that happening to you, having a corner who could play physical and tackle is definitely somebody who I think is going to be in the 2 deep immediately just because of that attribute, just because you could depend on him. Now in man coverage, it is in the G5 level, but he is really sticky. He's very feisty. Might get a little tugs here and there. Only had like 3 penalties, but some of them were soft. He's a dog. He has that that fight. He's also could probably play a little nickel. I'm not gonna lie. He's in the 5'11", but most of his tape is outside. And if I'm him, I'm coming in like, yo, somebody got to put me to the nickel. I'm gonna compete first.
Right.
So I definitely think he's going to contribute in the 2 deep, especially since, bro, it's hard for these corners, bro. If we play a lot of man coverage, they don't get to sit back and zone a lot. These guys are running, and the offense is just switching receivers out, getting fresh legs on them. You got to have a good 2 deep at corner. So even regardless of injuries, I would expect to see, Hill's name, pop up throughout camp as somebody who's, flashing. And then throughout the season, we'll see, because Damari and Jedi's, we're high on them, but if they do not perform, I don't think there's going to be any hesitancy to see if Hill can.
Good stuff. Now let's switch over to the offensive side of the ball and really talk about second year players that, or it doesn't have to really be a second year player, just a player that you want to see more utilized in this offense in 2024. Who's that for you?
It's got to be Isaiah Horton, man. I just feel like he has to. Even Sam Brown coming in is 6'2". Horton's a true 6'4" receiver. He's third year in the program, and bro, he's working. He is working. He's been working since he's gotten here. I love seeing him at the park. With these trainers balling. Every time he gets the chance in the game last year, he answered the call. I respect that. I love that. A guy just needs more opportunities. When that Texas A&M catch came, everybody was like, "Oh my God, he's gonna come on." And then they kind of weren't throwing them the ball for a couple games, and then boom, all of a sudden, hey, we're gonna depend on him, and he's just coming through, coming through. Oh, then hey, we're gonna keep getting the ball to X and Jacoby, and not much balls are going back to Horton. Then boom, hey, it's the bowl game. We need you. Start. Okay, back shoulder. This. Every single time he got an opportunity, he made the most of that, and I respect that. He came, he committed. He's been working. He's a third-year guy. He's shown the flashes anytime he's got an opportunity. And he's the only guy in our room with that skill set. Even though Brown is able to head top people, he's not 6'4". It's just a difference. It really is just a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to see what Zay Horton does. I think he's in for a huge year here in 2024. Another guy that we talked about as well was Elijah Arroyo. Elijah Arroyo, from what I've seen this spring, looks like he's ready to really dominate at his position. So this is a guy who can you know be a mismatch in coverage, and he blocks really well as well. And I think he's just going to have some opportunity to make plays, especially with this offense, with a better quarterback in the second year of Shannon Dawson's offense. And he's hungry to really make plays after really kind of dealing with an injury after 2 straight years. What do you think about the utilization of Arroyo in 2024? Do you think we'll see a lot of him?
I feel like if we don't, that means the tight ends are kind of not being used a lot. If you just see him in there blocking because he is an excellent blocker, then that I would be disappointed. So I would hope that the usage and the emergence of Arroyo as a true pass catching vertical threat that we haven't had since, well, it was only like a year or two off, but since Mallory left at least. We need a big frame going up the middle. I mean, I thought TVD missed it as well. I mean, every quarterback, Cam Ward included, needs a big threat going up the middle. I mean, that's just what it is. It's a guy who's 6'4", 6'5". You don't have to put an accurate ball. They just go up there and get it. Shield, safety's 5'10". Of course, you're going to throw it up. Just put it up where he can't get it. Over a linebacker, especially in the red zone. So every quarterback's going to benefit from a big tight end. And look at the NFL. It's just turning that way offensively. So we would hope that Elijah Arroyo completely healthy. I've seen him. He's breaking down great. Still wears the brace, but I mean, he looks good. It doesn't look like there's anything hindering him. He's just doing his thing. So I do think Elijah Arroyo could be that guy. I would think a successful season in my mind would be him being around 400 to 500 yards at the end of the year. I think that would be successful for the tight end. Obviously, the receiving core is going to go stupid. They're going to get your 1,000-yard guys like X, maybe Jacoby. If Cam Ward really goes just ballistic, you could have 2,000-yard receivers and Sam Brown and Horton being 500 plus guys. So I could see Elijah Arroyo having like a 500 plus type year, and that would be a big success.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why Ward wouldn't go stupid in this offense. I mean, threw for almost 4,000 yards last year behind a subpar offensive line. I mean, this offensive line is going to be miles ahead better than what he played at Washington State, and it's a money year for it's like a contract year in football for him. So he's really wanting to prove that, hey, I should be picked first round. So I think he's definitely going to have a big year. And if he does, then of course the Hurricanes do. And of course, Arroyo and others and Zay Horton will as well. That's Steve-O representing for 365 Canes football and Raw Miami. Thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And of course, we're looking forward to another film review from you as well.
Thank you, man. Anytime. I appreciate you guys having me on. Go Canes.
Awesome. That's going to wrap it up for the Storm Tracker podcast. Once again, make sure you subscribe to canescounty.com for free. Use the promo code Miami30. Follow this podcast on all platforms, and also subscribe to the YouTube channel Live from Canes County. Until the next episode.